Hey y'all, it's the Brights coming to you live
from our shaky table.
Technical difficulties.
It's an earthquake.
So, is that good? There. Okay. So we're coming to you live from our studio kitchen. Sunday Night Live with the Brights. It looks different tonight. So I guess we need to kind of wait till some people get on, right? Let me see. I can fix you all.
Not even. Let's just
fix
talk.
You all pretty. So we've been talking the last few weeks about different things in marriage, and we have a Facebook page, which is the Brights, and we also now have a YouTube video. And here we go again. You're taller than me. How come?
I don't know.
But you got to go down just a tiny bit. Okay. And so we have a YouTube page called The Real Brights, and we're putting the videos on there. We still have a couple of weeks we need to add on there, but it's been kind of not loading very well, but they're getting on there. And we also have therealbrights.com, which is our
Mark
website.
Halbert, what's going on,
Hey,
my
Mark!
brother? We miss you, man.
So, well, yeah, we do.
Much love. Can't wait to see you guys.
Yes, I know.
Give the kids a hello and a big hug from us.
They're just growing up way too fast.
Yeah, they are.
So we're talking about different myths in marriage and different things. Last week we talked about unspoken rules and unconscious roles. And after the video was over, we started talking about different things. And I realized that I have a lot of rules. I mean, I didn't even talk about some of the stuff, but just real quick, slow or wait for people to get on.
Real quick, yeah.
No, I even rotate Richard's underwear. Okay, like when the laundry comes out and you put it away, I rotate it so they all get worn evenly. That's one of my rules. Okay, yay. So he didn't know. He didn't have to do it. I do it for him.
Oh,
That's
man.
awesome, right?
Yes. I guess.
Hey, Barbara. Barbara's like, I am never getting married.
I don't care.
So we've been talking about marriage myths. So this week we're talking about the myth that everything in my relationship, everything in our life will get better
when we get married.
Everything good in our relationship will get better once we get married, which is super big myth. So we bring our A game when we're dating and all that, and then we think it's just going to get better and it's all going to be great once we get married. And there are a lot of good things that happen when you get married, but there's also a lot of things that we don't know about when they first come out, right? So, and like all the songs now, and the country songs especially, movies.
Be playing backwards and your dog comes back and you get your wife back. And
Right, you're playing backwards. But they tell you that everything's going to just get better and you're just going to ride off into the sunset. And hey, Hannah, our daughter's in the other room. She's watching live. Hey, Hannah. And so it says everything will get better once we get married, which is not true, not necessarily true. Some things do get better, but
I do remember when I was going to propose to Sherry, I thought, you know what, everything that's going wrong in our life right now is because we're living together and we're just not married. I know it's probably as soon as we get married, it's going to work itself out. It would just work itself out, and it doesn't work itself out unless we continue to really do something. It doesn't just automatically work itself out.
You got to work it.
That's right.
Right. What do you always say? You can't win the trophy for them.
I can't win the trophy for you. You
right.
got to participate in the game.
And so many people, that know us and know us over the years are like, yeah, but look at you and Richard. Like, y'all had all the odds stacked against you. You both have been married before. You lived together before you got married. All these things that we did wrong. But look at you guys. Y'all made it. But what they don't see is that it's been almost 16 years, and there's been a lot of hard times. Whoa, that was really shaky. There's been a lot of hard times in those years, but we've had to stick through it, and we have to do the work, and we have to continue to do the work. And
this table's really shaky.
Everything resets at midnight the night before. So it's like you do it, and then the next day you got to start all over again, right?
That's right.
So, and then marriage means giving up. One of the biggest things I think is, especially if if you've never lived out on your own, giving up and you get married. Like we know some couples that the wife have lived at home till she's 30 years old and she got married, and then she has to give up that carefree lifestyle, and they're not ready for that yet, and then they have to come to terms with the new limits and that there's this other person that you're living with, and now you have to be constantly thinking about that other person. It's not just you anymore. Now you have to think. It's kind of, we read it in a book, and I don't remember the name of the book, but he talked about marriage is like having a big, huge tree that's growing out of your living room. It's awesome. It's beautiful, but it's there. And so every time you go to the restroom, you have to, or you go to the refrigerator, or you want to go somewhere, or anything that you want to do, you just want to walk through the room, you have to take into account that there's this huge tree living, growing in the middle of your living room. And that's kind of what it's like being married, is that now all of a sudden you have this other person that you have to be conscious of everything that you do, you have to do around this person. And respectively, like if the tree's there, you can't go through the tree, you have to respectively go around the tree. And so like, how do you do that? How do you, and it can be a huge inconvenience sometimes, but sometimes it's beautiful and exotic having that tree there. But we have to remember now, all of a sudden, when you're single, you get to do whatever you want. And what were you saying? What about being single? Remember you used to say about eating ice cream and all that?
Oh, yeah. I said, if you want to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and have a bowl of ice cream and then go back to bed, you can do that. You don't have to hide the ice cream. You don't have to hide the candy. You're single. It's all yours. Not that I hide ice cream anymore that I'm married.
No, but today we were with a bunch of friends after church, and we were laughing. One of the couples said that, he goes, I would wait till she went to sleep, and then I would sneak out into our extra freezer and get the ice cream and bring it back in. But she heard the beep, beep, beep of the security. What is it? The
alarm.
The alarm.
Yeah.
And so he's walking in with his spoon, and he's about to like him and his ice cream are on, and she's super healthy, and yeah, she caught him. And so we were laughing about not having secrets. We're not even supposed to have food secrets, but some of us have food secrets. I have food secrets.
Yeah.
I have to hide food from Richard because I have to hide my food from Richard. Like, I only eat one cookie or one.
No, you don't even eat the whole thing. You take a bite out of it. You take one bite.
And then I wrap it up and I put it up. But Richard will eat the whole thing. Like when we used to eat Girl Scout cookies, I don't eat gluten stuff now. But when I did, I want one or two little thin mints. And then I'd put it in the freezer and it would last me forever. And Richard would eat the whole sleeve of it. So I had to hide ice cream. So then he'll find every once in a while chocolate almonds, and we have food secrets.
And I don't mess with it though. It's hers. I'm like, oh, she didn't even have to hide it. I'm not going to eat them all.
So marriage is filled with enjoyable, tedious trade-offs and enjoyable times too. But then there's that trade-off. But the toughest thing that we found and that we learned teaching the pre-marriage class from listening to couples and I think for our own self was is realizing that we married a human being, and that this person that we thought, the person that when we were dating, then we brought our A game.
The A game means that we didn't tell any of our bad stuff. It was just all the good we wanted our soon-to-be spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend to see. We didn't want them to see all the dirt and the baggage and our messed up part of life. We wanted them to see our shiny self,
And I think at first, the first few dates, we definitely brought our A game. Like, we didn't really tell each other. I know some of y'all know our story, but when I met Richard, he told me he owned a construction business. And I was like, yeah, like sugar daddy, and I told him I was a Mary Kay sales director, which was true. I just hadn't worked in a while. And so he was thinking sugar mama. And I didn't know he'd only owned the company for 2 weeks. And
I didn't know that Mary Kay was looking to repo her car.
Right. So we brought our A game. That's kind of like the A game. Or maybe they don't know your credit score. Maybe. And so as we got to know each other a little bit, and we only kind of dated like 2 weeks before we were living together. But then even when we started living together and telling each other all our stuff, we still it was so idolized. It was like, that's okay, because I see your potential and you see my potential, and I'm going to help you through all these things. And it didn't even matter once we told each other all the bad things that happened in our life. We were going to help each other through it. And we just knew this time it was going to be different.
Right.
Like, we were going to get married, it's going to be different. And so we had this airbrush picture of how it was.
How we thought it was
going to be. And Richard was like, he just wanted like a blonde-headed girl. That's all. That was his list.
No, that's not all. There was wanted food.
Yeah, but I'm just saying yours were pretty.
Oh yeah, pretty simple.
Yeah, you just wanted
hot and blonde.
You just wanted a chick.
Blonde and hot.
You just wanted
a chick. That was
to cook for him, have sex, like that. That was good.
Yeah.
He was gonna be fine. And I just thought this one was gonna be different. I was gonna be able to.
He's gonna do everything
the way I wanted. Yeah, he was gonna do everything because he'd already told me that we were going to do anything the other one wanted. We were just like, it was going to be perfect.
It's perfect.
Yep. But the reality was we didn't realize that we actually we did not marry the person that we thought we did. And that was a huge letdown, right? Yeah. I mean, and we hear that from couples all the time. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, it's not like they were let down because he wasn't a good person. It was just I thought he was up on this pedestal and he was going to do no wrong, that he was never going to gain weight, that I was never going to be irritable. Let's say it nicely without saying a bad word.
There you go.
Yes, I was never going to be irritable. We were just going to walk around, float around on a cloud all the time. Everything was going to be
Everything was
perfect.
going to be perfect.
Kids are going to be perfect. Everybody was going to get along. Our exes, our life was going to be so great.
Joy.
Yeah, and that we were going to have this honeymoon stage our whole life. Like it was just going to, like it was not going to be, they didn't understand. People in the classes that we were hearing, they didn't know that we had a different...
Our relationship was going to be different. It's not going to be the stuff that they're talking about, because you and I have already talked it. We've already got a plan together. It's going to work out perfect.
Yeah. And it was really hard pill to swallow when reality set in and we realized we were married a real person, and here both of us have been married before, and here we are back again. Usually the honeymoon, the tingle stage, lasts 18 to 36 months. I think for us it didn't even last that long, because we moved in together, started playing house, had bills, kids, everything just kind of hit us really fast. So that honeymoon, because at first...
Well, you know what?
At first.
That's one thing that nobody ever talks about divorce, is as soon as you're divorced and you start to date again or you get married again, it's not like you're starting from the very beginning and, hey, let's plan on getting this and let's do that and let's save for this. You automatically have bills and obligations and children and expenses, and it is just extremely hard. Nobody talks to you about this stuff. You think, oh, divorce. That's the only thing I can do. I need to get a divorce because I need to be rid of this person so that I can start a real life.
Person.
I need to pick the right person.
Yes. And so when we're dating that person, we want to see the best in him. Like I wanted him to be the right one and to be that perfect everything I needed.
All right.
What else? I interrupted you.
Oh, I don't remember.
Sorry. And so love is blind. You know, we hear that all the time, but it really is, because we never imagine that other person is ever going to do anything other than how it is when we're...
Oh, that's what I was going to say. If we marry the right person and we treat them wrong, then in our eyes they will become the wrong person. But if we marry the wrong person and treat them right, then eventually they will become the right person. So a lot of times when we get married, we think, well, no, we married the right person. They were just wrong for me. Mm-hmm. And it's not that. It's in time, we just started treating them wrong. We started treating them different. Instead of them being the love of our life, they became the black cloud in our life, you know, the buzzkill in our life. And it doesn't have to be that way. No. And I heard Sherry talking to a friend the other day, and she goes, make no mistake about it, in a marriage, she goes, if you guys are not growing together, then you're growing apart. And when I heard that, it was just so profound to me, because I thought, that is so true. Love and marriage just doesn't get better because we want it to, and because we took vows before God and all of our friends were there, and just because of that, hey, it's going to build our marriage. No, I mean, a house doesn't automatically build itself. You don't buy a lot and say, okay, house, build yourself, you know. And man, we bought the bricks and we put everything here, and it's just
down there.
It's still here. You know, we've got to build the house. We've got to build our marriage, brick by brick, you know, and all the hitting your hand with the hammer and the cuts and the bruises. It all comes along with marriage.
You got to tear it all out and start over, and not with somebody else, but I mean with this spouse, and you have to just keep trying and keep. That's a great analogy. I like that about building the house. I guess because you're a contractor.
That's right.
So that illusion.
I'm not a doctor like all my brothers. They're all doctors, and you know, so really you know, yeah, they really are. So yeah, family reunions are a blast at my house. Oh, this is my son, Dr. William, and this is my other son, Dr. David, and this is my son, Richard, and he thinks he's a comedian. Well, I had a sister who was a cat whisperer, so I had that going for me.
Yeah, so that evened it all out.
Yeah.
And so I think that illusion about marriage is really hard. It was hard for us to swallow, because we really thought this time was going to be different. This was going to be the one that was going to fulfill all of our dreams and our fantasies, and it did at first. The first like few months, I think, the kids didn't live with us full time. My daughter had just gone to live on her own, and so Richard and I, it was just each other. And he hadn't really got his business started. I was kind of getting out of my business, and so all we had was each other, and we would stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning and talk to each other and tell each other everything the other person wanted to hear. And so now that we counsel with couples, and we've been doing this several years, doing marriage stuff, you know, the biggest thing we hear is that disillusionment, I think, I guess that's a word, that illusion that's so hard to swallow is that honeymoon stage wears off, and that real life sets in, and then they think they've fallen out of love. We hear that a lot.
Right. And it's so easy for your spouse to irritate you and annoy you, and instead of looking past that, all of a sudden that becomes everything that we look for, is all the stuff that they're just doing wrong. Like, one time Sherry looked at me and she goes, why do you have to chew like that? And I thought, well, I'm eating steak and I could just swallow this big old hunk of meat without chewing, but I'd like to chew it so I don't choke to death. But when we have unresolved issues with each other, we start to nitpick, and it's never what we're nitpicking about. It's something deeper. It's deeper rooted that we never can get to. So what can we get to? The little stuff. So we start nitpicking on the little stuff,
irritating everything.
And then before you know it, the little stuff becomes bigger and more isolation sets in, and then you're like, you know what, I can't even talk to my spouse. I can't even, never mind. It's useless. It's useless.
But what's funny is when we're dating, we don't see that stuff. We overlook it. It's there then, but we overlook it. So love is blind. We don't ever imagine. We put our A game. We don't imagine they could ever be not on this pedestal. And so we see them better than they really are, but not for long. So once we get married, then reality sets in. It's like, wow, have you ever even heard the person fart? I mean, I know that sounds so weird, but that was so true. Like, I didn't want Richard to even know that. Like,
you do?
I know. He didn't even know till today.
Wow.
But it was that thing where we just, like, don't let him see you without your makeup on. After a while, we were talking to a couple the other night, and he said he got married, and the night at the wedding, all of a sudden she took her hair off, and she put it on the bedpost.
She
and
put
then
green all over. He goes, man, she was like Frankenstein. She kicked everybody out. She goes, everybody get out of my house. And I thought, oh my God, I am married a monster.
He said she took her girdle off and all these things, and it was like, oh my gosh, what happened? And that was kind of like us at the beginning. We did not want each other to see anything but the perfect stuff, but that you can't do that for very long. And so we marry this image, but later we discover that this person is actually a real person. And we do the pre-marriage class at our church, and it's called Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. So we get a lot of this information from that. So Les Parrott says that they have a friend that's a divorce attorney, and he said the number one reason that they get for people divorcing is that they refuse to accept the fact that they're married to a human being. Isn't that interesting? Like, they just can't deal with the fact that this person is super.
And they make mistakes, and they're not perfect, and they're not who we thought they were going to be.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the best advice things that we heard, when we first were at the pre-marriage class, and I don't even know if it even registered with us, but over the years that we've heard it, and now it really makes sense, and we tell our couples all the time, is that your spouse is going to disappoint you. That's huge. I mean, it just sounds so basic, but it's very profound, is that this person right here is going to disappoint me. I am going to disappoint him. Sometimes before this video ends. Sometimes it's because I'm shaking the table, or because we didn't turn the light. I mean, we're human. We're going to disappoint each other. Sometimes they're little things that are just a little picky, and sometimes they're huge things that we do. And most of the time, it's not done on purpose. It's not those type of things that we're disappointing each other, but it's usually just life. It's just how we are, and we'll disappoint each other. But now that we've brought y'all down and told y'all that the honeymoon stage is going to end, life is going to
There's a time that we stop living as me, and we will start to live as we, as a married couple. Isn't that great? And on average, that only takes 9 to 14 years.
Yeah. And we're going to say that probably every video. It's like,
what?
Because people don't realize they
Baby, hand me a Q-tip. I thought Richard said 9 to 14 years.
Or how about me a fork so I can stick it in my eye?
I got to get the wax out of my ear because I surely heard that wrong.
But I think that one of the best things is that when you realize that your marriage is not going to be this constant source of constant romance, that you're not just going to be floating on a cloud all the time, and everybody's going to look beautiful, and nobody's going to fart, and everything's going to be great. That
you're just stuck on that.
I can't help it. I don't know. I just get to say the word fart. I never was allowed to say it growing up, so fart. Okay.
Go ahead and say booger now too.
I'm booger. And so. You got me thrown off. So we want to be able to appreciate once we get married that the romance part's not going to be all day, every day. We're not walking around on a cloud. And when we do have those special moments, because we don't walk around every time, see each other, like every time he walks through a room, I'm like, oh, I got that feeling again, like
Yes,
you do when
you
you're
do.
dating.
You better.
But you'll have those, you still have some of those feelings, but they're special moments, and
Right.
they become very special
It really
moments.
is, because
Yes.
there's times that we don't do that on a daily basis, but sometimes I'll walk by and I'll hear and I'm like, and that's what I'm talking about, and I'm like, who is she talking to? So I'll walk by the office and she's looking right at me and she goes, I saw you walk by, and it does. You're like. And she's like, where are you going, Daddy? And I'm just like, anywhere you want me to.
But that's not every day. And then the other
Right.
90% of the time, we're just normal, and we just talk normal to each other. And sometimes we talk maybe not as sweet to each other because we're used to each other, and we have to remember we have to talk sweet to each other. We have to be intentional about those things. But the good news is, after the tingles wear off, the honeymoon stage is gone, is that you are going to have special moments. And it's actually, once that that disenchantment, once that disenchantment is enables you to go to that deeper intimacy. That's what you really want. Once you can get past all that, even though you think, oh, I want this forever, if you can get past that, that's when things start to get really good. And one thing we notice is we see, you've probably seen men that drive around in fancy cars, and they're like 40 or 50 years old, and they got some young chick, or we see them at Costco all the time now, that they get, like, it looks like a mail order bride, like they would never get this girl in real life. They're trying to get that in love feeling all the time. They're wanting to get that in love feeling. They're just trying to relive it. Or people that get married over and over and over. I did it myself. I kept thinking,
I don't think it's necessarily older men, and
no, but I see it a lot.
They think
they want that in love.
I think there's
feeling.
a lot of people that want that in love feeling. I wanted that in love feeling, and when that in love feeling wasn't happening, I thought, I've married the wrong one. She's not who I thought she was. She doesn't make me feel like that. Not realizing that is a tendency that draws you together. Love is blind, so you don't see all that stuff, and you're attracted to each other. And then from that point, once the rubber hits the road, so to speak, and you start to see the little imperfections, that's what God uses to be able to minister to us. So he's using my wife to make me a better person, and he's using me to make her a better person. But the problem is, we usually don't come at each other that way. It's not like, hey, baby, you know what? God put me in your life to make you a better person. It's, hey, did you know that you have a problem with time? Well, you can't seem to run on time. Oh yeah, well, you know what? You're a pig. You don't clean up anything. Oh, thank you for pointing that out to me. Or when we're in church and we start doing, we used to do elbow ministry in the very beginning. Like, you hear this message? It's for you. And we would laugh because nobody says, oh, thank you. You know what? Now that you say that,
Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you for pointing that out. That message was for me. It doesn't end like, it starts a fight. So we fight.
Well, go ahead.
No, so now I got to a point where we don't fight anymore. Now, because we've gotten past that, because I know that she's got my best interest at heart.
And I think that was the point, was that we were trying to make this whole time, was that once that honeymoon stage is over, it actually has to get out of the way. You go through that. It's wonderful. God lets you do it, and you attract you to each other.
How you doing,
but
buddy?
to be able to really get that deeper intimacy, to hit that sweet spot, you have to get past those tingles, get past the honeymoon stage, and that's when real intimacy starts to happen, and real things. And so that's what I was saying about men, that you see them in a fancy car with a young girl, is that they never understand. They never get to that point to have a deeper, and maybe they left their wife after 30 years or 40 years because they didn't get to that sweet spot, that intimacy spot. They always wanted that in love feeling, and so they kept trying to recreate it. I did it being married a couple times before, trying to recreate it and realizing that part I didn't know that. We didn't know that.
The good love, the agape love,
Yes.
the love that is lasting, comes from the trials and tribulations that we go through. And my wife didn't leave me. When I gave her every opportunity to be gone, she stuck around, and she honored me and respected me when I wasn't living an honorable and respecting life. She still loved me and pursued me and wanted to pray for me, wanted to help me get better and work through these things. So when people say, why do you love your wife? It's so easy to be, surface and say, oh man, she's such a good cook. She loves our kids. She's such a good housekeeper. She loves me. She's very attentive. She takes care of me when I'm not feeling good. But the true love is, this woman stayed with me when I was treating her like crap. and I was running all over her, and it was my way or the highway, and I was doing things that would push her away, but she didn't leave. She believed what God said about our marriage. She believed what God said about the husband being the righteous man of the house and the head of the house. And she said, I don't know how this is going to happen, but this is what my faith is going to say, and this is what we're going to pray about and work with each other and give each other grace and mercy and forgiveness through this. And let's just see if God won't do it. And then that's where we got to.
And you stayed with me when I was cray-cray about all this stuff and acting going, because I wasn't, he makes it sound very angelical, but it didn't start out like that. It took a lot of years to get to that point of having grace with him, because it wasn't like that first. So we stayed with each other. So we probably need to, we're trying not to have as
we were talking in class today about the bickering and the fighting and the just the constant turmoil. And we were like, well, we don't ever hear from God. We can't ever hear from God. God's not even talking to us. Well, he was, but we couldn't hear anything because we were just clashing all the time. As soon as we started to agree with things and let's approach this differently, and we started getting quiet with each other and just being able to talk normal, then all of a sudden we started to be able to hear from God.
I think when we started to listen to one another and not just be ready to come back with, okay, you finished? Because I'm gathering up my ammunition, because as soon as you're done, I'm about to give it back, put it back on you. But just like one of the ladies said today, she said she had to sit her husband down and said, you have to be quiet, you cannot talk, and I'm just going to talk, and you can't say one thing. And for like 25 minutes, she just let it all out. And he was like, that was the most profound thing. He wasn't allowed to speak. He just had to take it in. And then she's like, no, you can't say anything. And she left the room, and it's like he had to really take it all in. So I thought that was kind of cool.
No,
Barbara, thank
this
you.
was cool.
Richard he's profound.
My authenticity is so gangsta.
He's OG.
I'd drop the mic if
Baby,
I had
are you
one.
OG?
Yeah. Original gangster.
Old guy.
What?
Okay, so wrapping it up, because trying not to be as long. So another myth of marriage. We're going to do different myths for the next few weeks. So this one is everything good in our relationship is going to get better is the myth. And so you're going to go through the honeymoon stage. It's okay to have that, but you don't want to live there, because truthfully, where we are now is 10,000 times better than how it was at the beginning. But the world will tell you, the movies, the songs, and all that will tell you that honeymoon, in love, looking into each other's eyes, all that stuff.
Girl, if you're not happy, you need to go.
Boy, what is it? Boy, bye. Or boy, bye.
And that's not right.
No.
I mean, what it needs to be is all like, look, if you're having problems at home, then what are you doing here? You need to go home and work on your problems. And you guys need to talk this stuff out like adults, not yell and scream at each other and belittle each other. But man, start to praise one another and give grace with one another. Start lifting each other up. Enjoy those little times. If you're out to dinner and man, y'all are having a bad time, but somebody says something funny, your spouse says something funny, or somebody does something funny, man, laugh. Have a good time. Enjoy each other's company, because you don't know if tomorrow you're not going to get that. We're not promised tomorrow, guys. So let's do the best we can. Not to look at this as going to be something, oh my gosh, this is the rest of my life, if you look at it like that. But what if they said, you know what, today's the last day you have on earth. You're not going to be here tomorrow. I guarantee you we would cling to this spouse and we would treat them differently today if we knew that we were going to be dead tomorrow. That, man, we would try to get as much joy and as much love out of today as we could possibly get.
Oh, baby, preach it, baby.
Man.
So that's it. So the honeymoon stage is going to end. Know that we have this thing this idealized thing about this person that we're going to marry. But once we can let go of that image and get them off that pedestal and realize that we married a real person, this person is they're going to disappoint us. They're going to do things that we don't like. It's just life. They're going to fart, like we said earlier. Okay. I know. I say it again. But we just have to, we have to get past that and get to the good stuff, because it really does get better and better. We just want to bring you guys hope. We hope these videos help you. It helps us, and it really helps us if you guys can share our videos. And our YouTube channel is The Real Brights. Our website is therealbrights.com. And we also come to churches and different date nights, and we do comedy date nights. And we have a lot of great stuff coming up in 2019. We can't wait to tell you all about. They're all kind of in the works. So that's it. So just please share our videos, and
we're praying for you guys. We love you guys. Thank you so much
for us too.
For tuning in, and we just know that we're praying for your marriage, and we know that you guys are going to make it.
Yes, we bring you hope.
That's right.
Peace out.
Deuce. Love y'all.
Bye.